Hello and welcome to the Tournament Center here at Pro Tour Magic Origins in Vancouver, Canada. I'm Brian David Marshall. I am joined by someone, if you've been following Magic for a long time, you're probably familiar with him, Adrian Sullivan. If you've only been following Magic for a short time, you're probably familiar with him. He's coming off a top 4 at Pro Tour Dragons of Tarkir, playing blue-black control.
That's right.
This is kind of one of the decks you're very closely associated with.
You know, at the Dragons of Tarkir, there were a couple different builds of it, and at Pro Tour Cons of Tarkir, there were 3 different builds of it. And Patrick Chapin, he did the analysis of Cons. He said black-blue altogether was the best deck performance-wise of Cons. Why give up on it?
Okay, and then you've stuck with it again here this weekend. Let's take a look at what you had to work with. We'll start off with some Planeswalkers.
I've got a couple.
So talk us through these guys and Dragons and other. What do they do?
So one of the things about a deck like this is that you want to be able to have as many of your cards function to take control of the game. Ashiok, a lot of people play it like it's a finisher because you can see that -10, exile all cards in the graveyard, and they think that what they're going to do is go plus, 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 and then nuke the hand and library. But really, I like it as a card advantage engine. Put it out there, steal a creature. If it dies, that's fine. If they use a card on it, that's fine. And ultimately, you can kill them with just a creature you steal. Liliana Vess is probably the most cut card from the deck when people try to build this deck. And it's mostly, I think, because they don't understand how incredible it is. The thing about Lily is, if you untap with Lily and you're not dead, they will never win because you'll just go get a counterspell, then you'll get another counterspell, and it's just done.
And this is like a hallmark of an Adrian Sullivan deck. I want to just sort of point to the pill in the upper right-hand corner, 1. You know, this is kind of like something that you're a big adherent of, is the one-ofs, the kind of odd numbers. You see people go like 4s and 3s, you'll go 1s and 2s.
Well, a long time ago, I think Randy Buehler said that the best decks were all 4-ofs and 1-ofs, and he got part of it right. But no, one of the things about Lilia that's also great, the tutoring for your 1-ofs makes it like they're more than that. And finally, that -8 really does end the game, so it functions as a kill spell too. Now, Ugin, or Eugene, I like calling him Ugin. Ugin is so awesome in the sense of you put it out there, you clear the board, and then if they don't deal with it, you'll win the game. But first and foremost, you're taking over. And then, after it's done the job of clearing stuff out, then you can think about winning. Winning is always an afterthought.
And this is not a card where you're necessarily aiming for that ultimate. You're really aiming to just get into +2 mode, right? You're just like...
Actually, the other way around. The +2 mode is killing them, right? What you want to do first is minus to clear the board. And then when you're plussing, right there, almost no deck can beat that.
Okay. All right, let's take a look at the next set of cards you got here. So you love to draw a card. Who doesn't love to draw a card out there?
Drawing cards is great. Drawing cards is great.
So talk to me about where these cards, how do you arrive at these numbers? How do you figure out which cards to include?
Sure. So one of the first things is that number right there. The dig through time, most people run 4 dig through time.
That's a 4 of in most other decks in terms of, when you see a 3, that's a 4 for Adrian.
Yes. Well, like one of the things about it, that's not quite true. But regardless, when you see the 3 there.
A 4 is like a 5.
When you see the 3 there, you'll notice if you look at some of the other lists, like I want to say Shota Yasuka's list from Dragons, he also ran 3 dig through time. The problem is that delve cost is not fake. It's actually quite real. And I want to run 4. I would love to run 4, but the graveyard just can't support it. So I run as many as I can. And a while ago, I had 3 Jace's Ingenuities. And in testing, though, that Dragon Lord's Prerogative was just a better Ingenuity, but that casting cost in the corner, so much. That's a lot of mana. So you basically are treating this like your 3rd Ingenuity, and it's better, but you can't afford to do more of them.
Right, and the Dragon Claws is basically blank text for you. All right, let's take a look at the next set of cards where your counter magic.
Yeah.
So I always feel like when I think about a blue-black control deck or a blue-white control deck, I feel like, I go back to like old school. I want like 12.
20 counters.
12. I mean, 12 is like where I'm starting, right? But yeah, 20, I love it. I mean, the counter package has gotten so much smaller.
Yes. Well, I mean, I've been playing black-blue control since Dragons of Tarkir, before Cons of Tarkir, actually. But at the TCG Player Invitational, I top-8'd with 4 Dissolve, a Dissipate, and 2 Negates in the main deck. And right now I'm at just 4 and 1. And the reason is, right now I think the world is way much more about countering the creature by killing them. And you know what? If I'm going to just kill that creature, it might as well have been countered. And the thing is the fast decks, Dissolve might be too slow, so I'm not going to run the 5th Dissolve in a Dissipate. But Clash of Wills I can do on turn 2. And I want to run more Clash of Wills. Unfortunately, why is it a one-of? Other things just pushed it out. There's only so much space. I would love more, but I would rather have a Bile Blight. I would rather have a Hero's Downfall.
Sure, and a lot of the what would have been counterspells is maybe some of the when we started playing have been replaced by the Hero's Downfalls and the Bile Blights. And
I mean, Hero's Downfall, it acts so much like a Dissolve when you're completely untapped and they have nothing.
Right. Well, let's take a look at some of the removal spells that you have here to sort of function maybe as a counterspell, or sometimes, I mean, even multiple spells, right? So Bile Blight's a card that's doing hard work for you generally.
Yes. So Bile Blight and Ultimate Price, these two cards, they are a 4-of. And it's just that right now, I feel like Ultimate Price happens to be quite good. It really burned me in this last match because I was playing against Ornithopters. And, you know, what can you do? But those 4 cards are 4 2-drop removal spells. Meanwhile, Hero's Downfall is just the grand poobah of removal.
An actual 4-of.
Yes, yes. And this card takes care of almost anything. Silence, I've run 2 before, but one of the things I love about Silence is Exile can be remarkably powerful, and when you get to a point in the game against somebody and you have a Silence the Believers in your deck and they know it, and you also have other cards that are a bit more tricky, it can be very difficult to play around all of the removal. But Exile is also real, and the card advantage you can gain from that is also very real.
Right. And so you talked about the deck you played this round. You said you played against in Soul Artifact?
Yeah, actually, I think it was exactly the same deck that you just saw the feature match of, and in the Soul Artifact, this can get rid of a
Darksteel Citadel.
Actually, I tried to do that, actually, and he counterspelled it in game 2.
Oh. Almost.
That's close.
All right. So then, you also have, board sweepers, and you have a lot of them. Start with 3 Perilous Vault.
So Perilous Vault, when it was printed, my version of Black-Blue Control was kind of based on Adam Jansen's Black-Blue Control before Perilous Vault, and it wasn't quite good enough. And when Perilous Vault was printed, I thought to myself, this answers all of the problems. And I've run 4 before, but also that's 9 mana between casting it and activating it.
Yep.
That's a lot. Right now it's 3. The world is too quick for 4. And the rest of these is always a fun one.
So 1 Drown in Sorrow, that's like Bile Blight-ish?
I think to talk about this, we should start at Languish.
Yeah.
So Languish is obviously the new cool in black removal. And when I first built this Magic Origins version, there were 3 Languish. Okay. And the thing I noticed, everyone was changing their decks around because of Languish. So Languish is still great. It's just that I found myself wanting Drowns against some decks, wanting Cruxes against other decks. So those 3 Languish ended up splitting this way because you just want to have a Crux against some people and you want a Drown against some people, and they're often close enough. But this card is just the gold standard for me.
This is a signature card for you.
Oh, yeah.
And you were playing it in blue-white control also.
I don't know if it was legal then. I don't think it was legal yet.
No, okay.
But I've been playing it since it was printed. I'd have to look at my old lists.
Yeah.
But regardless, with this one, this is a way before my first Languish, Crux, or Drown. It's just, it has diminishing returns, but it's very hard to play around, and all kinds of problems, like Wispwood Elemental, or let's say Fleecemane Lion that's gotten really big. It solves so many problems, and the instant effect, especially when you have Jace's Ingenuity and Dig Through Time, if you're untapped, they can think you're going to do that. Come on in, Aether Spouts. And if you remember from the top 8, I think, one of my opponents was trying to play around Aether Spouts and trying to play around Silence the Believers, picked the wrong one, and lost because of it.
Sure. Let's take a look at the creatures in this deck.
Oh,
wait.
No creatures.
So you are actually playing a creatureless control deck.
Yeah.
What is that a decision, a style choice? Like, how do you end up at that not intuitive place?
Well, I think Purrloin Ancient is generally a card only good against some matchups. So since I think it's only good against some matchups, I'm going to board that in against them.
Okay.
And there's really no other creature that really functions properly. Silumgar, the Drifting Death, almost does, because Languish and Silumgar do a lot of work together. They're best friends, but I don't have enough Languishes to make Silumgar worth it. And then the other card, Tasigur, game 1, a Tasigur if I'm playing against the wrong deck and I put 2 cards over, let's say I'm playing against a control deck and I flip over a Bile Blight, the Tassiger did almost nothing. So.
Okay, and then I do appreciate, Temple of Deceit, Temple of Malady, Temple of Enlightenment. I appreciate, you're a notorious Simic mage, so I appreciate the nod to the green mana in your blue-black control deck.
I was once called the granddaddy of blue-green control, so you've got to get some green in there.
Okay, let's flip through some more of the lands that you're playing here. 4 Deltas, 4 Dismal Backwaters, 2 Opulent Palace, more green mana.
Yeah, more green mana, but more importantly, more dual lands. This way, I've got a total of all.
You can basically ignore this.
Not always, because Ashiok does mean I can make Pelucranos into a really big creature.
Oh,
or
has that come up?
All the time. And actually, if you remember that there was a Temple of Enlightenment, I have made a number of Fleecemane Lions indestructible.
Okay. All right, and I think we have couple more to take a look at really quick. Radiant Fountain, a card, Island, Swamps, but talk to me about Majoring Network, another one of the Magic Origins cards that have made its way into your pretty set deck list.
Well, I wish I could have 4 of this. If there was a way to make the color work, I would have 4. And unfortunately, I went from 4 to 3 to 2 to 1, and almost had none. The problem is you only have so much colorless you can support, and Radiant Fountain is just too important. Radiant Fountain is that 2 life, especially with the Dismal Backwaters. You need it. And so that right there is the last of the Mage Rings, and one of these swamps wants to be a Mage Ring, but I also want to cast Bile Blight.
Right.
I want to cast Hero's Downfall.
So what do you when you're playing a deck like this, what are you hoping to find yourself paired up against when you sit down at the table?
Forests, any forest. It doesn't matter if it's an Abzan deck, if it's green-red Devotion. If it has a forest, it's probably going to be in real trouble.
Okay. And then what don't you want to face when you're playing this deck?
I don't
coming into the tournament even.
Yeah. Walking into this tournament. I think the first thing that I thought of that I didn't want to play against, there are certain kinds of white-blue heroic or Bant heroic that if they want to beat me, the Stubborn Denials and the Disdainful Strokes, they're going to put that small creature down, they're going to make it big, they're going to start pounding me, and then just say no, 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 and that'll be it. Okay.
Well, Adrian, I'm going to let you get back out on the floor. Yep. Eat up a bunch more clock, and repeat. See if you can repeat. Pro Tour top 4 finish.
I'll try.
For Adrian Sullivan, this is Brian David Marshall from the Tournament Center.